Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sir Hunt on X on this 27th of October of the calendar year 2025. Coming to you live from, actually, it's turned to be a very dark day here in Cincinnati for obvious reasons. I will touch on that here in a minute. Lots to get to, including a wild fight over the weekend in England, which saw a dramatic come from behind knockout win. And I'll touch on his chances against Oleksandr Usyk. And we will live a sad night in the history of boxing. But let's get right down to it. Just touch it down here real quick. It is week 8 of the NFL season. Everyone's going to touch through these games real quick. Basically, everything was expected when you think about it, because aside of the one I'm going to talk about here later, all the results have been pretty much expected. And it was basically a kind of day because all but maybe one or two games were basically wipeouts. I was going to get right down, break this down briefly. Actually, this one will be real quick. It was a bit of a shocker in Atlanta that Miami beat the Falcons, but then again, no Michael Penix Jr., Kirk Cousins, basically a no-show. Any trade value left, he doesn't no longer have it. Probably the best game of the season for the Miami Dolphins, especially Tua Tagovailoa, who played probably his best game of the season. I mean, the defense that stepped up, slowed down, Bijan Robinson, locked him up. Strong road win for Miami. Looks like they haven't quit yet, especially after some real bad losses up to this point, and they've had some real bad losses. Shout out Howard Gaddis. I see you out here. I hope you're doing good. Look forward to talking to you soon. Now to what took place in Philadelphia, and of course, a lot of yapping from everyone in the NFL community about this one. It was the Eagles over the Giants. Everybody knows the story, the tush push. And basically after yesterday, I'd be surprised if it's not banned. I mean, it's fixing to be banned. It's fixing to be, just outed. I mean, I don't think it should be, but everything's pointing toward that direction. Just needs to be officiated better. But still, it doesn't matter. The story of this one is the Giants defense just got punked outside of that play. They got punked the entire game. Unfortunate injury for Cam Scadaboo. May God wish him a speedy recovery because he was playing well up to that point. And the problem was Saquon Barkley returned to form and just did anything and everything he wanted to do to the Giants defense. Big home win for Philly. Of course, no A.J. Brown, but I think Philadelphia is fine. They're going to find a way to bring him back into the mix eventually, and that's what I expect to happen. And this one, a bit of a no shocker. It was Buffalo over Carolina. After a couple of embarrassing losses, especially a couple of weeks ago to Atlanta, Bills bounced back with an emphatic performance, setting up the Giant game next Sunday against Kansas City at home. Basically, James Cook did anything and everything he wanted to. As long as James Cook continues to run the ball, Buffalo's offense is going to be tough. But unfortunate that the injury to Ed Oliver, who was one of their premier run stoppers and one of the better ones in the NFL, out indefinitely with a biceps injury, puts a little damper in that Buffalo defense as they get ready to face the Kansas City Chiefs this coming Sunday in another epic game of their recent modern rivalry in the NFL. But Carolina is basically no-showed. This is who Carolina is at the end of the day. And it was Baltimore without Lamar Jackson, just handing it to the Bears. Well, the capper was the pick 6 by Nate Wiggins, who just basically iced it with that one. And we talk about the Ravens being 2-5 and how pathetically bad the AFC North is this season. The Ravens are still in it. I mean, you're going to get Lamar Jackson back at some point. I mean, whenever it is, I don't know. Yes, he had a little yippee-yay that took place over the weekend with the miscommunication of the practice thing, which we know John Harbaugh made like Pinocchio lying through his nose on that one. But the Baltimore Ravens are back for now. But I'll give it to them. The defense, who has been absolutely abysmal before the bye week, actually made the plays. Especially when we talk about the Nate Wiggins pick 6. They're still in it in an AFC North where it is just absolutely awful and abysmal, because that's what we had when we talk about that division. For the Bears, they settle for field goals early, especially in the red zone. And everybody knows my theory on red zone field goals. If you score field goals in the red zone, you're fixing for a loss unless it's the final field goal to win a game. And if you're in the red zone and you can't get touchdowns, your offense isn't all that great. But also kudos to Baltimore's defense, who stepped up and has basically been maligned for the most of the year, especially after they laid 2 eggs in Buffalo and Kansas City earlier in the year. They came back with a solid win. They're still in the hunt for the AFC North, which we know is absolutely down to the gutter right now. I'll touch on that here in a minute. Houston over San Francisco. For the first time, C.J. Stroud looked like himself, and the offensive line finally started to get some protection for him. The 49ers just dug a hole, found themselves in the second half, but it was too little too late. But Houston looks like they're going to finally get something going here a little bit. Finally protected C.J. Stroud so he can get the passing game going, and this is even without Nico Collins. So big win for Houston to see the AFC South race, and that was not even far from over yet. And basically expected Indy over Tennessee, all Indy, no Tennessee. Jonathan Taylor, right now, pound for pound, the best player in the world for now, till the season wears on. But you got to give him his due. He's basically running like a running machine right now. Good luck trying to tackle that. And the Titans, they're just doing absolutely nothing. They're just basically tanking. As Cam Ward eloquently say, if you want to be real, right now, we're bleep. That's Tennessee right now. Broncos over the Cowboys. I'll admit to this one, I got it wrong, but kudos to Bo Nix, who played very well. Get well soon, Patrick Surtain, the premier cornerback in the NFL. Dallas, I mean, they had nothing going. It was their offense got going, but the game was already out of hand. And we know their defense was every bit as bad as the Bengals, and they're basically emulating what the Bengals were last season, all offense, no defense, and that's what you got out of it. So, but Denver, they're for now in control of the AFC West, but there's a team in Kansas City who's playing tonight who's going to charge up and challenge it at the season's end. And we're going to find out in week 11 when those two clash just how good Denver's going to be. Not having Patrick Surtain is going to might be a bit of an issue, but the defense will be fine moving forward. I still had Kansas winning the division. I still have Denver winning 11 to 12 games as my top wildcard team in the AFC, and that stands put. And it was Tampa Bay over New Orleans. After the tough loss to Detroit, Tampa needed something like this, just pummeled the Saints. And basically, the game was over by halftime. And the defense stepped up, especially with all the injuries on the offense to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Baker Mayfield didn't play the greatest game, but the thing is, they didn't even play it because the defense just put the clamps on the New Orleans Saints, who's just likely headed for the first pick overall in the 2026 upcoming draft. Now we're going to touch on 3 AFC North games, and each have their own storyline. We'll start with what took place last night in Pittsburgh, because you want to talk about the wheels falling off. What happened in that fourth quarter? The Steelers just got punked. I never thought I would live to see a Steelers team got punked. That's what happened in the fourth quarter. The offense just stepped it up. Jordan Love was a man possessed, threw for over 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. He outdueled Aaron Rodgers, who, of course, was looking for revenge against his former team. And the Steelers defense, just like they were cooked by Jamar Chase on a Thursday night tilt here in Cincinnati, was cooked by Tyler Kraft and Romeo Doubs, and they had no answers. In this second half, they put the clamps on the Steelers offense, sacking Aaron Rodgers, and that team is still a Super Bowl contender. A lot of people are still questioning whether they are or not. They are. They play like this, they're going to be tough out for anyone, at least in the NFC. Good luck trying to stop this when they're cooking like this, especially Jordan Love, who's as good as anyone at the quarterback position. But we talk about the Steelers defense. They're talking about the 28th ranked defense. Second straight game, that pass defense got cooked. In Cincinnati, it was Jamar Chase and Noah Fant. Oh, yes, last night it was Romeo Doubs and Tucker Kraft. And the Steelers secondary, you made an investment in that secondary. And if you're a Steelers fan, you should be pulling your hairs out, being upset. And I wouldn't blame you guys, because those guys just were out of position. Those guys just got absolutely torched. And Jordan Love had all the time to do whatever he wanted. And that's why the Steelers defense got picked apart in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, where they just got clubbed by Jordan Love and that offense. So lots of work to do for the Steelers, especially in the AFC North. I'll touch on the AFC North here in a minute. Now to what took place in New England, and somebody got their dose of karma. It was the Patriots just slaughtering the Browns effortlessly. I mean, the game was over. Once the Patriots took the lead, they just rolled on all the way. Especially when we talk about Dylan Gabriel's intentional grounding in the end zone, which was just absolutely one of the most senseless plays I've ever seen. But the real story of this one was the attitude of Myles Garrett during and after the game. Of course, the emotion on the sideline and the press conference saying he would trade the 5-sack performance for a win. Here's one thing the morons called Browns fans, and especially himself, and those who are trying to back him, miss it blatantly. Remember what happened in the offseason when he made that Players Tribune post to the Cleveland faithful saying he wants to go to win. And basically double down, triple down on his trade demand saying, I want out of Cleveland. But then when the moron Andrew Berry refused the request and offered him the $40 million a year contract, which was the highest paid non-quarterback contract in NFL history at the time, Garrett put his name to the contract, and the rest was history. Myles Garrett is as good as anyone on the edge. We all know this. Probably the most impactful defensive player in the NFL at the moment. I mean, you can't deny it. His impact on the field, his numbers speak for itself. But spare me your sad story, Browns fans and Myles Garrett, because you guys want to conduct yourselves like moronic retards due to the fact that you guys had the option to part ways, but you guys want to stick it together. And now you guys trying to defend a guy who made the choice to take the bag as opposed to go to a winning team. And as a result, Myles Garrett is getting grilled, rightfully so, deservingly so, because he carried himself like a jerk. You wanted to be on a winner. You wanted to be traded. You basically bent the knee to the Cleveland Browns organization by taking that contract. You made the choice to take the contract. Spare me your sad story because you made the choice for the dollars over a winning team. Because you could have just stood your ground, made the Cleveland Browns bend the knee to you and made your demands, but you didn't. You made to the Browns' demands, you bent the knee, you accepted the bag, and because you accepted the bag, you got what you deserved. Karma came knocking on your door, all because you did not want to, go to a winning team. You wanted the bag, you got it, and now you're stuck for a while because the Browns' cap hit is going to be insane. Because I'll tell you this also, if he really wanted the bag and gone elsewhere, somebody would have paid him the bag because he would have gotten the bag somewhere else if he would have gone. Because he's one of the premier edge rushers in the NFL. I mean, everybody's going to have the discussion with him or TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby, among many others. But he would have gotten that bag somewhere else on a winning team. Philly would have given it to him. Buffalo would have given it to him. I mean, the teams that made the play for him, that were an edge rusher away from being a title contender, they definitely would have given him that bag if he wanted it. But Myles Garrett bent the knee to the Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Browns organization, and now he's getting his karma as a result. He made that bed. He can just shut up and go lie in it because he made the choice to stay in Cleveland for the bag and not stand on his business to get traded out of Cleveland, as he wanted to do. We talk about what he wrote on the Players Tribune earlier this year when he made the demand. And of course, he was on the NFL Network, doubling down, tripling down, and quadrupling down. And because of it, he chose the bag, and now he's getting what he deserves. I'm not feeling sorry for the guy. I know a lot of people across the entire NFL isn't. And now we have the two clowns at some Northeastern Ohio Cleveland show who are trying to back the guy, and they're just looking like fools. And those two morons run the ESPN and Cleveland show are every bit the problem Myles Garrett is because of it. Congratulations. Y'all made your bed. Shut up and go lie in it. Remember, this is the same franchise who forked out the fully guaranteed contract for Deshaun Watson to send Baker Mayfield out, thinking that fully guaranteed contract was going to send Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow out of Baltimore and Cincinnati, respectively. That was a fail. And just not too long ago, of course, that happened. This guy coming to Cincinnati from Cleveland. And now they're yapping about a quarterback. Congratulations. You're now, your 300th quarterback since you come back into the league in 1999. I mean, I lost count after 100. There's a reason why you guys are a laughingstock for many reasons. And Myles Garrett is now a part of the laughingstock because he's getting what he deserved. He wanted the bag. He got it. Now quit giving me all these pity-patty stories simply because that's what Myles Garrett is essentially all about. So good luck down the line, Myles Garrett. Good luck, Cleveland Browns. I hope you guys will enjoy the basement because that's where you're going to be once again. Plain and simple. Now to what took place over here yesterday. Lots to unpack with us. And the gloves are coming off. I warned you all, you better have won that game. You didn't. Now you guys are on still in a rage as to what happened, pointing fingers at ownership, pointing fingers at Zach Taylor. The blame goes solely on the Bengals fan base and the Cincinnati media. Now I'll touch on that in a minute. I quit pointing fingers at ownership because ownership is going to be who they are. They're always going to be who they are because, I can point to 900 reasons why ownership should have been gone, but they're not going to listen. Why? Because they don't care. It's plain and simple with that one. And I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something else also. I quit blaming Zach Taylor because anything I do about Zach Taylor isn't going to matter at the end of the day because he's the puppet of that ownership. Everybody here in Cincinnati knows it. Blaming him at this point doesn't get anybody anywhere. And if you cowards in Cincinnati, we're talking about the Bengals fans and the Cincinnati media, want to pinpoint the blame at them, go ahead. But guess what? Take it to them. Don't take it on the social media. Don't take it to me. Don't take it to Corey Dillon. Don't take it to Steelers fans. Go to the Bengals front office and take it to them because they're the ones that made the decision. And don't do it on social media because it gets you nowhere. From slandering Steelers fans to slandering myself to slandering the Vikings organization for whatever reason. I don't know what that's all about. To sticking up to Vontaze Burfict like the coward that he is. To go all of a sudden slandering Corey Dillon, who wants his name off the Ring of Honor, which you should just honor his request and just take it off of there. The karma came knocking on your door, and it came knocking on your door hard, and you got exactly what you deserve. And you guys could talk about all the things you want to do. Now you guys are jumping off the bandwagon saying you're not going to watch another Bengals game until Zach Taylor is fired. I got news for you. If you want to jump off the Bengals bandwagon, jump off. Don't just jump off and come back. Jump off and stay off, and I don't want to see you ever again because you guys are just cowards if you just jump off. I'm not talking about Joe Burrow butt kissers. We have a lot of them, especially overseas, because there's a lot of you guys who are Bengals fans because of Joe Burrow. If you haven't gone through what we've been through from since losing Super Bowl 23 to now, you're not a Bengals fan. You're just a Joe Burrow stan, and you can shut up and get out. If you're going to be in this, you're going to be in this from start to finish. I don't want to hear any excuses. Now, I'll touch on more of that in a minute. To this game. It's simple. I said it in the preseason. You can put 11 statues on offense, and they can hang 70 on the Bengals defense because they don't know how to tackle a statue to save their lives. We all know this. And because they don't know how to tackle a statue, that's what happened. I mean, you got burnt on a touchdown pass by Breece Hall, who just threw one of the laziest passes I've ever saw. Right to the hands of the receiver in the back of the end zone. And DJ Turner just turned his back on it as if nothing was going to happen. And, of course, the ongoing controversy over the two-point conversion, which I thought it didn't matter because the game was epidemic at that point because your defense just crapped the bed. It's the fact that you guys face a Jets team who had no energy, and not even flat tires had less energy than the New York Jets going into that game yesterday. I mean, the Jets had zero energy. The only energy they had was Aaron Glenn scolding the New York media. We know how the New York media is. It was the New York Jets who came with no energy, and a Justin Fields who was benched and scolded coming onto that field, and you guys turned him into the 2019 Lamar Jackson. That's inexcusable. It's unfathomable, and it's an embarrassment. Shoot, I thought last year's loss to the New England Patriots week 1 was an embarrassment. This is even worse than that. And I'm not calling it the worst loss in franchise history because that's just ignorant by the cowards called Bengals fans who don't know what happened in Super Bowl 23. But that's even worse than what took place last year, week 1. And you know what happened week 1 against the New England Patriots? That was just an embarrassment. When you talk about the fact that this team just could not whatsoever stop a nosebleed to save their lives. I mean, they're trying to stop an overflowing dam with an overflowing dam with a Band-Aid. That's not going to work because that Band-Aid is going to pop. We all know that. But you guys laid the biggest egg and even a game worse than last year's week 1 loss to New England Patriots. And that is just a double embarrassment. Is it the worst loss in franchise history? Far from it. That's where a cowardice sticks in. You guys are already calling this the worst loss in franchise history. Maybe in the regular season, I'll give you that. How many guys saw Super Bowl 23? How many guys saw Super Bowl 23 when Joe Montana had a pass right into the hands of Lewis Phillips in the end zone where if he would have picked it, the Bengals would have won the Super Bowl. What happened? Lewis Phillips dropped it, The next play, Joe Montana to John Taylor for the game-winning touchdown, and the 49ers win Super Bowl 23. That's the worst loss in franchise history right there. Because from that point to now, they've never recovered. Actually, they've had playoff appearances and, of course, the fake Super Bowl run in 2021. But nothing was worse than what happened in Super Bowl 23. Now what happened yesterday? Was it the worst loss in regular season Bengals history? You could say that. I mean, let me just put this in perspective for a minute. You guys had games like this where you were 0-7 and 0-8 and pulled shockers, and now you guys are the other way around. It is what it is at this point. Let me just say this. Let me just put a close on the game part of it before I continue. The season is not over. It's bleak. It's bleak. It is bleak, but I'm not going to call it over. Because the AFC North, we know, is an absolute trip to the Rumpke dumpster, about to be set on fire because it is that bad. I mean, everybody's talking about Baltimore running the tables the rest of the way. I won't go that far because their defense still has question marks. And we know the hoochie gaga with the Lamar Jackson situation where John Harbaugh lied like Pinocchio. We know the Steelers are a hot mess. Cleveland, they're just going to live in the basement. But a lot of you guys need to just shut up, quit acting like cowards, leave people alone. And how are you going to start it? Focus on Chicago starting right now. Don't worry about what happened yesterday because it's over with. A lot of you guys are angry at it for no real reason. A lot of guys are carrying themselves like cowards being angry for no real reason. It's over with. On to Chicago. That's what we need to focus on. Plain and simple. Now to all you guys that want to jump off the ship. And there's a lot of you guys here in Cincinnati. Don't think I don't see it because I'm watching it. Some of you guys that want to be Colts fans and Lions fans because they're winning and the Bengals aren't. But you guys are going to come back after if the Bengals theoretically fire Zach Taylor. That's why you guys are the biggest cowards walking Godspeed North right now. If you're going to jump off, jump off. Just jump off and stay off. I don't want to see you. I've been here I've been a fan of this since 1985. I've been through the dark years of the 90s. I've been through the Marvin Lewis years where the guy didn't have the balls to win a playoff game. I've lived through the Andy Dalton years, the Carson Palmer years, and now what's going on over the last 5 years. And even the other years like David Klingler, Jeff Blake, Jay Schrader, Carl Pinkins, Darnay Scott, among many others. And 90% of you guys, I'm not even going to put your names out here because I saw what you guys did the other day. Resorting to screenshots because you guys are cowards. If you guys are fans because Joe Burrow is here, you are a bandwagoning coward and you can just get off. If you're not an actual fan of this team, get off and stay off. If you're a legit fan of this team, you're more than welcome to come to me because I'll talk to you. And I'm talking about real Bengals fans, not the ones who's fans because Joe Burrow is Jamar Chase over here. Those are bandwagoners. They don't count. They can get off. Marlon Humphrey said it best about you guys a long time ago. You guys are the biggest bunch of fair weather fans walking God's green earth. I mean, Ravens fans can't stand Marlon Humphrey as much as I don't. And they'll tell you because of the guy just shoots his mouth off. But you guys are making him look good because you're coming out here and saying you're going to sell your tickets. You're not going to go to your games because of what happened yesterday. That's the biggest act of cowardice you could ever do. Listen, if you have a problem with ownership, don't take it on social media. Don't take it out on me. Don't take it out on anybody else. Go to the ownership front office if you dare and if you got the guts. Because 95% of you guys don't. And honestly, if you want to sell out the games, go ahead. If you don't want to sell out the games, go ahead. You think ownership cares? Heck no. I mean, they didn't even care since they took over in 1990. Anybody with a brain knows this. And you guys are dumping everything on ownership. Dumping it on ownership doesn't get you anywhere right now because they don't give a darn. Trust me, I lived through it since 85. Even the previous ownership never gave a darn because our Super Bowl appearance and losing to San Francisco in Super Bowl 23 was in spite of everything over there. Not quite as bad as, when this current ownership took over, but it was pretty close. So if you're here only a Bengals fan because of Joe Burrow, get the hell out because you're just a coward. If you're a Bengals fan the Bengals fan team, stay aboard. And this thing is far from over. Don't jump off because the team lost to the winless Jets. Yes, it's bleak. It is. I understand it. But it's not because the AFC and the AFC North is just a bunch of hogwash in the garbage bin of a Rumpke dumpster right now. This thing is far from over. Don't jump off because they lost to the winless Jets. You guys can say F Zach Taylor, F Al Golden, F Mike Brown, F Katie Blackburn. You guys can call for their firings. That's not going to get you anywhere. unless you want to do it to them in person. I mean, don't be cowards behind a mobile device. Take it to them in person if you're man enough. I said, if you're a fan of, if you're here because you're a fan of Joe Burrow and you have a problem with my stance with Joe Burrow, you are a coward. And if I'm talking to you specifically, too bad. Take it. If you don't want to take it, get out. You guys are just, last year, the way you guys carried yourselves after that Week 18 fiasco, your true colors came out as cowards. Actually, I can trace back to the playoff loss in 2015 to Pittsburgh to back that up. And I have carried yourself since, acted like beating Pittsburgh 10 days ago to now was a big thing. It speaks for itself. If you're going to be on the Bengals band, you want to join the Bengals team, have at it. Don't join the Bengals team because you want to be a fan of one player, and don't jump off because you want to see a coach fired and then come back. That's just an act of cowardice that's going on around here. And if you're going to talk about selling tickets, and you want to talk about not watching a game because Jake Browning is going to play because Joe Flacco might sit out with a shoulder injury. If you're not going to watch a game because Jake Browning isn't playing, what kind of a Bengals fan are you? You guys, your cowardice continues to show day in and day out. And watching how you guys carried yourselves from as a game was going on to what I've seen today. It's actually there's now somebody rumor-wise posted it out there that people are selling next season season tickets because of it. What does it say about you guys at the end of the day? It says more about you than it does ownership. It says more about you guys than Zach Taylor. I mean, do I think Zach Taylor should be fired? Question: How the hell does Zach Taylor have a job to begin with? The guy shouldn't even get a job at a high school level. I never was the biggest Zach Taylor fan. You won't see a Zach Taylor apologist out of me. Do I think ownership is garbage? You're damn right I do. But do I blast them on social media? No, I don't, because I'm not going anywhere with it. A lot of growing up needs to be done. People need to stop carrying themselves like cowards. A lot of guys just need, if you're going to be a Bengals fan, be a Bengals fan. Don't just be a Joe Burrow fan. If you're going to be a Bengals fan because of Joe Burrow, get the hell out and stay the hell out and don't come back. If you're going to jump off the Bengals because they didn't fire Zach Taylor, get out and stay out. If you're not going to be a Bengals fan, if you're planning, let me back up. If your plan is to be a another fan of another team until something happens with the organization, you're a bandwagoner. Stay away. If you haven't gone through the 90s like I have, you're not a fan, and get the hell out. Plain and simple. You didn't jump off. I don't care if you jump off. But if you're going to jump off and stay off and don't come back. Plain and simple. Otherwise, you're a coward. I'll be taking the gloves off on this throughout the week because I haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Don't think I saw what some of you guys, especially the overseas ones, did the other day. I'm studying piece by piece, one by one. Because if you think I'm not, you're an idiot. Case closed. And oh, by the way, this is the real Joe. And if you have a problem with it, get the hell out of my face. Plain and simple. Now to the world of boxing. And Saturday, we were treated to a heavyweight delight. It was Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley. Looked like Parker had the fight under control till the haymaker right hand by Wardley, and Parker was hurt. Stoppage under bizarre circumstances. But I'll just say this. Everybody's talking about the stoppage was bad. It was the real one that was robbed wasn't Joseph Parker. It was Fabio Wardley because he might have had a clean stoppage and put it into all doubts if he would have had a clean stoppage. Why? Because Parker wasn't throwing back. I know Parker was doing a nice job trying to slip and slide, but Fabio Wardley, we know the guy can crack. We saw what he did against Justin Hooney the fight before, where he's behind the hip with the right cross that put him down and out. And he did it here again. Joseph Parker had the fight under control, but missed a golden opportunity to put Fabio Wardley away because there was chances he didn't do it. But I got to say, Fabio Wardley has a whale of a chin. I'll give him that because Parker can crack. We know Joseph Parker can crack, and Wardley took some cracks. But we get it. This referee, Howard Foster, I think is what his name is. I don't even remember it. Was a crappy judge when he's at ringside, and he's even less of worse of a referee when you talk about what he did on this night. And he's had instances of this in the past. It's been well chronicled, especially among the British Boxing Board of Controls. Well chronicled. But the real one that was robbed was Fabio Wardley, because if he might have been able to get a clean stoppage and put it into all of this, and we're not having this conversation. Of course, the referee apparently stepped on Parker's foot that started this. I'll admit I watched the replay here when I'm off within the next couple of days. I will check it out and give another re-observation. But the point with this one is, for Joseph Parker, you had chances to end this because you had at times Wardley backed up and you were controlling the fight perfectly with the jab, your combinations, and your experience, because you have big fight experience. Talk about guys like Zalil, like Deontay Wilder and Zalil Zane, just to name a couple of them. But when you have a chance to put a fighter away and you don't do it, and that happens, especially in the heavyweight division, you can expect that to happen. It wasn't a great. It was just not the greatest and unsatisfactory ending, but maybe Wardley was robbed of a clean stoppage, which would have ended all controversy when you talk about all of this. Plain and simple. And but for Wardley, he was one of the fake heavyweight championships. Again, not a shot at Wardley, it's a shot at the governing bodies. But his 5 minutes of fame are going to be up because he's now the mandatory for Oleksandr Usyk. And Usyk blunt said, I want the winner of this. And all I'm going to say is, don't blink, because it'll be that easy for Usyk. And it's not a shot at Fabio Wardley, who's got a puncher's stance. He's a heavyweight. I get it. But his style is tailor-made perfectly for Oleksandr Usyk. And Usyk, the number one fighter in the world pound for pound, will show it again. And there's nothing more he can do about it. Because any heavyweight tries at Oleksandr Usyk, he has an answer for. I mean, Tyson Fury tried everything. Anthony Joshua tried everything. In a combined 4 fights. But neither of them could solve the riddle. And I'm expecting Fabio Wardley to. Great story what he did and managed to come back up in the heavyweights after a bit of a downturn, especially when we talk about how he knocked out Justin Hooney and then coming back to beat Joseph Parker under, granted, a weird circumstance. But when you talk about the power of Fabio Wardley, he is going to have a chance. But at the end of the day, I just don't see how he can compete with Oleksandr Usyk. I mean, it's a great story, a terrific story for you guys over there in England. I mean, you guys. I mean, I heard the chance how you guys love him. I mean, he's a phenomenal guy. A great story in England. I mean, especially you guys over there in England who don't follow the sport, read it. A good story, great story of his career. But we're talking about the best fighter pound for pound of Oleksandr Usyk, and that's where everything ends. I mean, I like to see a competitive fight. Usyk might. I mean, the only thing that could make this any more competitive is if Usyk finally shows his age, which, he's a human being. He should show it at some point. But I don't see Fabio Wardley being the guy. And if he asks me, I think if he does fight Fabio Wardley next, if I'm Oleksandr Usyk, I'm making that my last fight. Plain and simple. I mean, I love the heck out of Fabio Wardley. I mean, I really do. But no chance against Oleksandr Usyk. Now to the historical aspect, and we got to, of course, touch on, for the good, there's a bet. And we're going to go back to what took place 74 years ago at Madison Square Garden. It was Rocky Marciano and Joe Louis. Maybe one of the real sad stories of the sport, but we know we have this all the time. And maybe the epitome of it is what took place 74 years ago at Madison Square Garden. After he beat Jersey Joe Walcott to win his rematch, Joe Louis wanted to walk away. I mean, he wanted to walk away. But we know the government had a personal, almost a grotesque and psychotic vendetta toward him that forced him to come back when he really shouldn't have. And we know the story with fighters that come back. And this is another example of this. After the 12-year, 25 successful title defense reign as champion, he comes back, had a couple decent wins, lost to Israel Charles, had a minor winning streak going against Rocky Marciano. When you talk about Rocky Marciano, after Lewis, before Ali, we know that. I'll touch on that in a brief second. This is a fight nobody wanted to go through. That includes Rocky Marciano for the obvious reasons. But Joe Louis had no other choice given what was happening. And we know the government betrayed Joe Louis. It's a political thing. I'm not even going to get into it. You guys can, because I don't use my platform for that field. But the wild thing was Joe Louis, despite all of that, was pegged as a 6-5 favorite. And some people thought this might be the fight that, he goes out on a shield and walks away from it. The sad story of this was basically, even though he was a favorite, he really had no chance of being Joe Louis. I mean, he had his moments in the first 2 to 3 rounds, and it looked like he was going to look like he was doing the best he can to hang around. But the pressure of Rocky Marciano gradually broke down the used up and really spent Joe Louis at that point, who really shouldn't have been fighting. I mean, we all know that, and we know why he was. Marciano just broke him down, gradually beat him down. And of course, the first knockdown, and then the second knockdown, the lethal punch that put Louis through the ropes, and that was it. It was such a sad story to where Rocky Marciano, after the fight, walked to the locker room of Joe Louis and apologized. And Joe Louis, being the high-class humanitarian that he is, said to Rocky Marciano, "Don't apologize," because that we know that we know that happens in boxing. I mean, there's reasons for it. A lot of them, 80 to 90 of them. I could detail them all. I won't. But it was really a sad story because whenever even the hardcore boxing historians used to talk about this fight, you could see the emotions on their face because it was really a sad day. One of the all-time saddest days in boxing history when you think about it, because the end of a legend. I mean, we see it all the time. I could point to 50 to 60 other examples. This one, it was like a passing of a torch because it was the official end of the Joe Louis era and the official beginning of the Rocky Marciano era, because now it was Marciano as a top dog in the heavyweight division. Everyone's going to have their weird opinions on the legacy of Rocky Marciano for every single reason imaginable. But you give him two things. He was the undisputed heavyweight champ in the one-belt era, where one belt was winner take all, and he beat everybody in front of him. In an era where everyone nitpicks their opposition, that's what happens at the end of the day. We talk about what took place with this. And we talk about Rocky Marciano and Joe Louis 74 years ago at Madison Square Garden. Everyone's going to nitpick. Everyone's going to point this ideology of Rocky Marciano not being able to beat a prime Joe Louis. That's, of course, is a myth. Because, I said mythical matchups don't qualify. We have to give the official result to what it is. And because we give the official result to what it is, you have to give it, unfortunately. I'm not going to partake in it because you can't compare eras. Because we talk about the era of Joe Louis. We went through a hell and high water, especially we talk about that second fight of his with Max Schmeling in 1938. And we talk about what took place on this night. It was basically a cultivation of everything that happened in and out of the ring. And basically, Joe Louis, the American public, betrayed him. We know the story with that one. And we talk about what happened at the end of the day. That's exactly what we got out of all of this. And it's rather unfortunate because, people are going to have their opinions. I always said with fight fans, their sport is so nitpicked that others, they want to try and chop it down at the bits. You can't really talk about what already took place. You have to call it as it is. No one's saying Rocky Marciano is the greatest thing the heavyweight division's ever saw. No one's saying Rocky Marciano is the greatest thing the sport of boxing has ever saw. What you got to say is, take the result as it is. He went undefeated, and he beat everybody in his era, and retired undefeated. I mean, granted, it's an odd era, given what he had to go through, given that it was a transitional phase after Joe Louis and before Muhammad Ali, but he beat everybody. And you have to give him that. But it was a sad day 74 years ago that Rocky Marciano had to defend the title against Joe Louis because the American world started to betray him and having the American government after him. And even though he held his moments, the age of Joe Louis finally caught up, and Rocky Marciano got the knockout win. May God rest the souls of both. Joe Louis is a top 2 all-time great heavyweight, Muhammad Ali, a top 5 pound-for-pound all-time. This loss doesn't diminish anything because his legacy was secure long before this. This was forced upon for many, many reasons that's not even worth talking about. And I conclude, speaking of government interference, one that took place 55 years ago in the same Madison Square Garden. This was the first fight between Muhammad Ali and Jerry Quarry. This is the first fight for Muhammad Ali after exile. We know what happened with that one. Once again, I will not use my platform to talk about it. You guys can use yours. The first fight where basically he finally got out, finally got licensed. We know the story with that one. And what he did this night, by just because of how culture had changed, Ali changed with it. And basically, about Jerry Quarry the first time and just did anything he wanted to get a third-round stoppage to welcome himself back into the boxing world. And we know what this spun off as. The long buildup, the basically turned out to be now a 6.5-month buildup for the super fight of March 8th, 1971, between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Once he finally got back into the ring, that was who he wanted. And after Jerry Quarry, people remember Quarry for many things. He was actually one of the better ones at that time. After Joe Frazier and Jimmy Ellis fought for a vacant title after what happened with Ali. Quarry wasn't that far behind, and Ali just dusted him off as if he didn't belong in the same ring as Ali. And we know what happened to the health of Jerry Quarry in the fight game, but a tough hombre who ducked no one, fought any and all comers. That's what we had when we talk about Jerry Quarry. And what happened in this fight was basically the beginnings of the buildup of the giant super fight of March 8th, 1971, and the beginnings of that epic trilogy between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. And it started on this night 55 years ago. Jerry Quarry, tough as nails, ducks no one, and gave an honest effort every time. He fought Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, George Tuvalu, among many others. But, there's a reason why Muhammad Ali was Muhammad Ali, and that's what happened 55 years ago tonight, and started the buildup for the super fight and the super trilogy between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. That doesn't happen if we didn't have this. And we know how that turned out with Ali and Frazier. The rest is history. Here's the thing. It's one thing we have boxing politics mixed with what's going on in the sport, and we've seen it forever. And I don't use my platform to discuss what goes on with the real politics because they don't mix. And people are trying to mix when it comes to Muhammad Ali and what he went through and how he got exiled. And it's an injustice to him and injustice to how everything was. And I'm going to end it right there. But with this guy, but maybe the biggest thing with this, as we talk about his place in the history of the sport, it's been chronicled a boatload of times, and I'm not going to add too much to it. Maybe a case of a guy who maybe could have been greater had it not been for what took place, because we were deprived of his prime years. I mean, showed it in the first fight with Joe Frazier because he wasn't able to do what he did, like what he did to Sonny Liston, 5.5 years before, and that's what we had out of it. So that's what this fight did. Show the whole world he's still Muhammad Ali, of course, after all the conversion and all that stuff. And re-escalated himself to the greatest time after time. Even in the loss of Joe Frazier, acquitted himself very, very well, and probably the greatest fight in heavyweight championship boxing history at the least. That March 8, 1971 showdown with Joe Frazier. Of course, the Thriller in Manila, probably the most brutal fight in boxing history. But what this guy went through for the longest time, even as he was winning, and he was still facing all kinds of backlash for whatever it was he did. The guy was a winner. We talk about mentally tough athletes. You could have a strong case because of what he went through in and out of the ring. The strongest case that maybe there was no athlete more mentally tough than Muhammad Ali. And I'm not saying nobody else did. A lot of people did too. But what this guy went through in and out of the ring and still managed to be the 3-time heavyweight champ and escalates himself to the greatest, hands down, the most mentally tough athlete maybe ever. And 55 years ago tonight in New York, basically just gave a boxing lesson to Jerry Quarry in front of a star-studded audience that include guys like Diana Ross, Jesse Jackson, Arthur Ashe, Julian Bond, and Whitney Young, just to name a few of them. That's to tell you the impact of the greatest, Muhammad Ali. May God rest the souls of those two also. And on that note, I will wrap up this edition of Sirhan on X. This is the real Joe, people. Take it or leave it. I don't care what you guys say. I don't care what you guys do. If you missed this show or any other show, you can catch the replay versions on the iHeartRadio and the Apple apps on your audio devices. You can catch the video replays on the Spotify app, as well as now the Patreon app and all the social media platforms I'm on. And as always, make self-care your number one priority in all walks of life. You take care of yourself first. All the good things will come your way. If you don't take care of yourself first, nothing else matters. Focus on you, take care of you, and all the good things will come your way. And on that note, this show's over. A Halloween closeout version for the week of Halloween. If you guys are going trick-or-treating anytime this week, do stay safe. Trick-or-treating is always fun at this time of year. Have a good rest of the night. Take care of yourselves. God bless. And I will see you tomorrow night.